Let's learn the names of some more intervals. So far we know two interval names. There's this one, where on our journey from the bottom note to the top note of our interval, so looking at the space between these two notes, the difference there is 8 notes. So we go through C, 1, D, 2, E, 3, F, 4, G, 5, A, 6, B, 7, back to C is 8. So that's 8 letter names, counting the top and the bottom from the lowest to the highest. This interval, as we know, is called an octave. We also saw, let's change colour, let's get pink. Okay, we also saw that if we take in the interval between C and G, we will step through 5 different letter names, C, D, E, F and G, and so those two notes together or separately, their distance apart, is known as a fifth. Now, it's not going to take a huge amount of ingenuity to work out what some of the other names for intervals might be. Let's grab another colour. Here we go. And say we wanted to know the name of the interval between C and F. That's here. So that sounds like this. And to go from C to F, we need to use 4 letter names. 1, 2, 3, 4. So no prizes really for guessing. If 5 letter names is known as a fifth, 4 letter names is known as a fourth. So that interval is known as a fourth. I'm just going to grab a different colour again. Go for red this time. And say we were looking for the interval between C and E. And we go C, D, E. Those are the 3 letter names we need to go through to measure, to cover that space, that interval. And once again, 3 letter names used, it's known as a third. And we can finish this pattern off. If we look for the interval between C and D, we've just used 2 letter names there. And that is, again, unsurprisingly, known as a second. Now you may be thinking, well, I already know another name for the distance between C and D on the keyboard. That's a tone, and you're right that there's a few different names for these ways of describing spaces in pitch. And yes, it is a tone, but it's also known as a second, and there'll be times when that'll be very useful information to know. And just to finish at the other end of the spectrum, up here, we want the distance between C and A. C, D, E, F, G, A. That's 6 letter names. And so we're dealing with an interval of a sixth. And finally, we want to measure the distance between C and B. So that'll be C, D, E, F, G, A, B. 7 steps, 7 letter names, and so that interval is known as a seventh. So intervals are dead easy, on this level at least. They go into a little bit more complexity when we start to look at them in a bit more detail, but for now we can measure an interval purely by counting the number of letter names we go through when we travel from the lowest note to the highest note, or the highest note to the lowest note. Don't forget, intervals work, they're the same distance apart whether we go from the top note to the bottom note and the bottom note to the top note.